The leadership crisis in the Corporate Society of Nigeria, Coson, took a fresh dimension on Tuesday when 7 embattled members of the board, Efi Omorogbe, Dare Fasasi, Obiasika, Audu Makori, Paul Okwego, Sikiru Agbola, and Joel Ajayi, insisted that the chairman of the organization, Chief Tony Okoroji, remain sacked.
But now it has got to a point that we feel if this thing should continue, a lot more will be done and a lot of money will be lost by the society, especially those who are supposed to collect small amount of money. And that is why we felt enough is enough.
The aggrieved members at the press conference said Okoroji was sacked, having betrayed the trust and lost the confidence of the directors who appointed him.
After running 2 consecutive editions of Coson Week and still coming back to the board for bailout funds. On the last one here, I stood up and I told them again that here we go again. If this is allowed, he's going to come back and give us a bill. And then we'll start debating this bill again. Somehow, some people didn't agree. By the time they put it to vote, it was allowed to have this 3rd edition, agreeing that no expense will be shifted to the board or to Coson as an organization. But after the event, lo and behold, comes back again, normal practice. Oh, we have 22 million, we have to bail him out to the tune of 22 million. 26 million. I objected again. And we had a meeting much after, which it was agreed that, oh, let's give him a part of the money because he had done something for Coson. 8 million was approved. I disagreed again. I didn't agree for a penny.
Okoroji, according to the angry members, was sacked by a 6-4 vote, witnessed by the Nigerian Corporate Commission representative Obieziolo at the December 7, 2017 emergency board meeting.
So let's keep the focus. What has Okoroji done? Is Okoroji fit to be Coson chairman? No, my opinion. Is Okoroji fit to be a member of the board of Coson? No, he's unfit.
Okoroji's sack, it was alleged, followed the petition written by stakeholders and Coson founding fathers, including evangelist Ebenezer Obe Fabi, Bode Akinyemi of Ivory Music, Chief Osita Okeke of OCF Fasin Limited, Chief Rogers Okonkwo of Rogers Hostile Records, Mr. Laolu Akins, artist, composer and publisher, and Mr. Toju Ejoyeche of Premier Music Publishing Limited. In its resolution, the aggrieved board members voted Efi Omorogbe, the new chairman, and banned all directors and their companies from operating as vendors or consultants to Coson henceforth. The factional leaders also entered the engagement of Pricewaterhouse and KPMG for auditing and strategic growth support for Coson.
And the fact that we put one person in front of us does not make the rest of us idle or indolent. So I think that we should look at these issues from that point of view, and everyone should add their voice to directing and direct their energies to achieving the goals that we have set for ourselves. And that's a Coson that works for everybody, regardless of when you started in the industry, where you are today, and where you will be tomorrow. Everyone deserves what belongs to them. And what we are saying, I'm a signatory to the petition that went to the board that started all this. And we've been saying this for many years. I was a finance committee chairman at Coson on the board level before I left. We started way back then. But because we wanted to achieve something, we had to overlook certain things, also to try and correct them as better as well as we can to get going so that we can arrive. You cannot pick every little thing and say, if you don't change it now, we're not going again. You work gradually to arrive at a point. And we have arrived at this point now. By the grace of God, we shall correct it. We shall solve this problem with the help of all of you, all the interested parties. Nobody should keep quiet. No one should, otherwise your interests are at stake.
In his reaction, Chief Tony Okoroji, in an interview with Flip TV, said the various allegations leveled against him were founded and an attempt to destroy the collecting society. He said it was nothing but a failed coup against him.
I've said that I do not want to throw brickbats between me and any member of Coson. I don't want to exchange words. I don't want to point fingers. I don't want to fight. I don't want to quarrel. I became 60 last month, and I believe that my responsibility for the rest of my life is to bring people together, to do those things that affect the creative community positively. That's what I want to dedicate my life to, not to quarrel with anybody or fight with anybody or exchange accusations. And that's what I'm focused on. Yesterday I was at the Federal High Court to protest what I think is some great injustice to the creative community in Nigeria and probably to the Nigerian nation. I was there again this morning with a number of my colleagues. I'll be there again tomorrow, and I will remain there until the matter is reversed and the Nigerian creative community can walk tall and nobody will point his fingers on us anymore. That's what I want to do. I've already promised members of Coson that this year our royalty distribution will double. I'm bent on achieving that for their benefit. You know, I was part of building Coson House. I slaved to build this house. I was here every day, Monday to Friday, Saturday, Sunday, weekends. I spent my own money on this building. You know, it's the only building of this type that I know by any creative industry organization in this country. We did not get one shilling from any government. We did not borrow any money from any bank. We don't owe anybody a penny when it comes to this building. And I'm proud of what we've done. In 2017, when we commissioned Coson House, we also had the great Coson Week, 8 days in the best venues that we have in this country. Wonderful events that have furthered our brand. In the same year, we allocated 206 million naira for distribution to members of Coson. We are the only collective management organization in the country that's doing that. Consistently in 7 years, we've done that every year. We audit our accounts every year before the time is up. We audit it, we send our accounts to the Nigerian Copyright Commission, we send our accounts to the Corporate Affairs Commission, we send our account to CISAC, of which we're a member. We send a copy of the accounts to every member of Coson. At our annual general meetings, our accounts are debated, every line, and we explain everything that's done and is adopted by the members. We send a massive activity report to the Nigerian Copyright Commission every year. The secret of the success of Coson is our openness and accountability. You know, when I hear now that we are not doing this, we are not doing that, I ask myself, how could we have grown exponentially, doing everything wrong? We have over 140 reciprocal representation agreements with collective management organizations practically everywhere in the world. Coson has members across Nigeria. Sometimes people mistake the membership of Coson to be a few people in Lagos. That's not true. In every state of Nigeria, Coson has members who have a right to speak on the organization. The annual general meeting, the extraordinary general meeting that was held in December 19, was called by the board before the events of December 7. The extraordinary general meeting was heavily publicized. Every member was notified, and people came from around Nigeria. And there is not one Coson member that I know who wanted to be at the meeting who was shut out of the meeting. Not one. And when people say, I've read that I hijacked the meeting, I don't know how I could have hijacked a meeting chaired by Professor Sir Victor Waifu. Ebenezer Obey had a representative at the meeting. We had the likes of Sir Shino Peters. We had the president of Moran, which is the biggest organization within the music industry. We had the president of Mukman. We had the Fuji organizations. We had the gospel organizations. Their top leaders represented. You had KSB was there, you know, King Waleman was there, King Wadada was there, King Uno was there. you know, and I hijacked the meeting. I don't have such powers to hijack any meeting. There was nobody at the Coson General Assembly who was not a member of Coson or a proxy. You know, they are proxy. And their views are clearly expressed in the video, which is available on YouTube for anybody to watch. You know, I want to encourage my brothers, you know, to accept the will of the members of Coson and work together with us to deal with the issues that will further the interest of musicians in Nigeria. The members of Coson are determined that Coson will not be another P-man, you know, which broke down and which at some point had 4 people claiming to be president at the same time. We are working hard. The reconstituted board is already at work. Last week I was in Enugu, I was in Anambra, I was in Imo. The week before I was in Edo. We are working to make sure that we do that which protects the interest of our members. I want to say again that I'm not interested in any quarrel or any bickering or any finger pointing with anybody whatsoever. I continue to express my love to every member of Coson and any member of Coson who wants to do well for the creative community. I want to work with. Quarreling doesn't help anybody. Finger pointing doesn't help anybody. And I do not wish to be chairman of Coson forever. I'm chairman, I believe, because I have the intellect. I understand the subject of copyright as much as anyone else in Nigeria. With all humility, I can deal with the issues of copyright. I know it. And I have given my life, not for 1 day or 2 days. I have passion for what I do. I understand it. I have relationship with the members of Coson across the country. And with all humility, I have the lever to confront those who oppose this organization and what it stands for. In line with the Articles of Association of Coson, the General Assembly, first of all, asked all the people who are involved in this process to step down, and it can be understood. They said that they lost confidence in them, and then asked that the remaining members of the board should meet, again in line with our articles, to reconstitute the board. And the meeting was held that day, and we'll have a brand new board reconstituted. And I am happy with the quality of the people we have on the board. And these are people who have shown their dedication to Coson even outside of the board. Sashino Peters is a member of the board now. Kennison Brown is a member of the board. In fact, we have 3 women on the board. We used to have only 1 woman, Azizat Allen, on the board. Now we have 3 women. I am extremely happy. Richard Cole is on the board. Richard Cole? Yeah, Richard Cole is on the board, you know. And the board has already started working. Ras Kimono is on the board. I've mentioned Richard Cole. Yes, Sharon Esco Wilson, who is a national president of MUPMAN, is on the board. Moran has a member of the board from Abuja, you know, and so on and so forth. The board is already down and the board is working. If you ask me what are we going to do about those who say they're on the board, I can claim to be president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. There's nothing wrong with that, you know, but that doesn't make me president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Coson is not looking for a board. Coson is not looking for a chairman. We have a board, we have a chairman, and we are on the ground, and we are working. And we will not be another P-man. I can assure you that. No, we never had any. Let me repeat, there was no allegation made against me. There was no allegation made, you know. I came to a meeting, it was an emergency meeting, because after the Coson week, I do a comprehensive report. I sent that comprehensive report. We had an emergency meeting to look at the report. That's all that was slated. Nobody sent anything to me to say you have done X, Y, Z. Nobody asked me any question about X, Y, Z. I never had to defend myself on All I heard was somebody say, I'm moving a motion for the chairman to step down. That was what happened. That was exactly what happened. I was like in dismay. What brought this about? But then after second thought, I knew that there was a problem from outside. I've just mentioned the issues we are dealing with at the Federal High Court. That Coson went to court against the Attorney General of the Federation and MCSF over decisions the Attorney General of the Federation had made. We had consulted with the Attorney General of the Federation and said, what you are doing to us, you didn't ask us any question, you didn't invite us to any meeting, you didn't consult with us, and then you make a decision that is devastating to our industry. You couldn't have done that without, we know the industry better than you. How could you have done this without consulting us? You know, you go and say you are giving an approval to an organization that has 7 criminal cases against them, filed by an agency of the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The proper authority, the Nigerian Copyright Commission, protested vehemently that what you're asking them to do to approve this organization was unlawful and could bring chaos to the industry. You ignored that and went ahead. When we consulted you, you said, oh, it was your SA Media, one Othman Issa, Salihu Othman Issa, that was pressurizing you to do this. Okay.
Is that what Kalami said?
Yes, that's what he said to me. I was not alone. There are people there. You know. And I said, you know, that in fact he asked, Salihu Othman Issa, what is your business with this matter? Why are you harassing me over this thing? And he said to the guy, he said to the guy, please, I want a consultation with all the people, but of course nobody consulted us, nobody spoke to us. We heard from the grapevine that this has happened. Now what are you going to do about the matter? The Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, looked at me eyeball to eyeball and said, in 7 days, I will fix it. We waited for 7 days, he didn't fix it. We waited for 24 days, he didn't fix it. We now thought that it was necessary to draw attention to everybody to what was happening. We called a press conference. A lot of the journalists in Lagos attended that press conference at the old Coson office, right? After the press conference, I started receiving very funny text messages from his senior advisors. They were calling me bastard, they called me adulterer, they called me fathead, they called me all kinds of things. Very senior officers of the government of Muhammad Buhari were sending me such vile text messages. After so many months, it became clear that the Attorney General was not ready to do anything about the matter. We decided to do what you do in a civilized nation. We went to court and filed an action and asked the court to determine whether the instructions he gave were legal and valid, whether the organization called Music Copyright Society of Nigeria was validly approved to collect royalties in Nigeria, whether the orders he gave were correct, whether the trial of those officers of Music Copyright Society of Nigeria should be discontinued based on orders he said he gave under Section 50 of the Copyright Act, when in fact Section 51 says clearly that he does not have such powers to give those orders. Those were the matters we took to court, and we thought that was the civilized thing to do. You know, we went by what you call an originating summon, interpret the law, and decide that. Lo and behold, the judge, Justice Ibrahim Buba, was supposed to deliver his judgment on December 6th. I was not in Lagos, I was in Calabar, and I received a call to say that the judge came to court and said there was a petition against him that was sent in. He received the evening before the judgment was stated, and they were trying to untwist him. But he was going to deliver the judgment on the 14th of December, come rain, come sunshine. Those were his words. On the 14th of December, our people went to court again, only for the judge to come to open court and say, unfortunately, the case file has been taken from him, that he has to adjourn the matter indefinitely. And that left us with, what do we do next? Do we carry guns or cutlasses? We have tried everything to get this thing resolved as ought to be done in a democracy. What exactly do we do next? You know? And as they were doing that, of course, the sudden attempt to get rid of me as chairman of Coson was also taking place. And anybody who knows the industry as well as I know that the two things are connected. You know? And that's why we are calling on all the authorities, we are calling on the NJC, we are calling on the bar, we are calling on everybody. Because it's not just about Coson. If this new trend of snatching case files just about judgment was going to be read is continued, none of us is free, because it will happen to anyone. The rule of law is that you let the judge read his judgment. If you don't like the judgment, you go on appeal. I don't know what the judge is going to rule. Up till now, I have no idea what the judge is going to rule. If you don't like the judgment of Ibrahim Buba, Coson will go on appeal. If the Attorney General of the Federation does not like the judgment, he can go on appeal. He has all the lawyers at his beck and call. Why do they have to remove the case file and prevent the judge from reading his judgment? In whatever I do, I want to stay strictly, you know, on the path of law. My life has been more or less saved by the law courts with everything that has been thrown at me. I've had to run to the law courts each time. The Coson development, and Coson is a major Nigerian success story. It's a product of the rule of law. You know, why do they want to destroy Coson? Anybody who is in Nigeria can look at Coson and its progress and be proud of what we've done. Why are they using all of this to destroy Coson? But I'm happy with the members of Coson. They fully understand what is going on, and they are determined that Coson will not be destroyed. I have the legitimacy of the members of Coson, and it is clear. I want to say to you that the petition we are talking about was written by Toju Ijwechi, who was a member of our board, who lost elections in Coson and has never, you know, been happy. You know, I want to tell you that a lot of the people who are supposed to have signed that, including Ebenezer Obey, I spoke with Obey. Obey called me. I was in his house twice. I would discuss this matter, and he told me how they have been pressuring him to sign that document. You know, some of the people he mentioned from the East called me. That's how I knew about it. That document, they circulated before the Coson week because they wanted to disrupt the Coson week. They were unsuccessful, right? Because they are being pushed from outside. That is a document they sent to people in my board to use as a pedestal to start cause the disarray in Coson. We understand what is going on. I have no problem whatsoever with Evangelist Ebenezer Obey. He remains my big friend and father in the industry. I respect him. I go to his house more often than I go to anyone else's house. I have no problem with some of the people, but some of the signatories there, we are people who are on the board. You know, I don't want to call anybody names. You know, but there is a time when you check and find out that your coup has failed, and you move on. And in this case, the coup has failed and failed, you know, badly. You know, we are sitting at Coson, right? We are talking within the Coson boardroom. And if anybody thinks it has a government within Coson, let him come to Coson boardroom. We have a fantastic arena here where we do press conferences and, you know, like, you don't do your press conference outside and tell me you are the board of Coson. You know, you can't do that. We have some of the best facilities for press conferences in Nigeria within Coson House. If you believe that you're on the board, you're legitimate, then come to Coson House and do your press conference. In area of reprography, you have Repronic. There is no other collecting society in reprography. In the movie industry, you have AVRS. There is no other one. You know, in music and sound recording, you have Coson. And the law is very, very clear. It does not matter what the opinion or the interest of the Attorney General of the Federation is, he must obey the law. And the Copyright Commission told him that what he was asking them to do is unlawful. They cannot do what is. Then he wrote them a letter, and I have a copy of the letter, saying that you must do this despite your position. There is no difference in what has happened to us with what has happened in the minor case. In the minor case, the head of service told him, you cannot call this guy back. But he said, I am the chief law officer of the Federation. In other words, he is the law. He is not the law. He's an officer of the law. He must be, he must abide by the law. By law, we must do one annual general meeting every year. By law, you cannot go as a company, registered on the Corporate Affairs Commission without doing an annual general meeting every year. We do that every year in the month of May. But we have a right to have more general meetings than that one that we are bound to have. And any other general meeting you have is called an extraordinary general meeting. And what we do in Coson usually is to say, look, the issues of royalty distribution can be dealt with at the board or management level. But because we want to exhibit transparency, we want to take the issues of royalty distribution to our members so that it is discussed, is debated, and it is clear how royalty is distributed, because collective management is still something that is growing in our nation. No, I'm nobody, as long as I am willing to work and the members of Coson have confidence in what I'm doing, I'm not scared about what anybody would say. I'll do the work. Let me say here, in the work that I do, I step on toes, big toes. There is no way to do the work I do without stepping on toes. And people will react. I expect that. I'm not foolish not to know that people will react. You step on toes of the people we collect royalties from. You know the fights involved in collecting royalties. You step on the toes of the people who want contracts from this organization, and I say, sorry, as far as I'm concerned, you must go through the due process. I step on toes of the people who lose elections, who think that I should have used my power to make them win. I step on a lot of toes. I step on toes of people, some of them in government, who want to control an organization like ours. Government doesn't give us a penny. We are independent, which is why we can do a number of the things that we do. Each time that it looks like money is coming from the government, I've resisted it. I say we want the freedom. And this is an example that private sector organizations in the creative industry can survive without money from government, because it creates a lot of crisis. So we are independent, we are strong, we are firm. Let me assure anybody who is worried about what will happen to Coson that Coson is strong, we are firm, we are moving on. We will be even stronger and better by the grace of the Almighty in 2018. Our staff is some of the best trained staff by any private sector organization in Nigeria. We don't owe salaries whatsoever. We never owe salaries for 1 month, for 1 day. We give the best training we can give anywhere to our staff. We are respected around the world. In Africa today, we are considered as one of the best organizations in collective management of copyright. We are proud of what we have done for Nigeria. And I think that Nigerians should be proud of what Coson is doing. No, the more than 26 million was incurred in the last Coson week. I know that they want to make that, an issue, right? The Coson week is about promoting Coson. We don't charge any penny as entry fees to any of the 8 events we do, right? we support the Coson Week. TOPS does quite a lot of work for Coson because of my passion for Coson, for which Coson pays absolutely not one penny. I know that some people will be kind of shocked to hear that the Coson Week, one of the biggest sets of events in Nigeria, that I have to fund it to promote Coson. We have 8 events: Coson in the church, Coson lecture, Coson in the streets, Coson green ball, Coson all-stars table tennis blowout, Coson in the mosque, Children's Day at Coson, and then the Coson Song Awards. They are all Coson, 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 to promote the brand. And am I expected to pay for it all by myself for the promotion of Coson? These are some of the bizarre things that are going on. I am supposed to pay to promote Coson, while Coson is making millions of naira and hundreds of millions of naira and distributing it. I don't know who thinks that that is. I think they are doing. You are aware of events done in Nigeria. You probably have some understanding of the cost of events. One of the events we did for the Coson Week was Eko Hotel and Suites. Another one was a Museum Center. One other one was 4 Points by Sheraton. These are some of the most expensive venues in the country, and there was none that we didn't do to standard. Is somebody saying that the cost was too much? That people are doing single events at Eko Hotel that are spending 30, 40 million, and we did 8 events of the Coson Week, 8 big events of the Coson Week for 20-something million. And somebody thinks we have not been prudent. We use our energy. I burn the midnight oil. I bring my friends to do whatever they can do, free of charge. Go and please go and ask Kofi how much we paid him for the Coson Week. Yeah, he was the anchor at the Coson Green Ball. He was the anchor at Coson Song Awards. Kofi didn't take one penny from us. There are my artists who performed, the top artists who have performed for nothing. There are a lot of people who were there because of the personal relationship I have with them. But their thinking is that, we are spending money, we are giving contracts. There are no contracts with respect to the Coson Week. We use as much goodwill. We use goodwill from our friends in the media who promote the event. The advertising we had for Coson Week 2017 was costed at about 130 million naira on behalf of Coson, which we didn't pay for. There was live broadcast of some of the events. Anybody who is involved in the media now knows how much live broadcast cost. All this was building the Coson brand, and anybody who doesn't appreciate that has no reason being in the Coson board or wanting to be Coson chair. That is why our brand is growing massively. We are doing things that are growing our brand. When we had the June 12th event here, that a lot of journalists came, there are people who complained about it. And I said, look, MKO Abiola supported us while he was alive. He was a musician. We had a duty to celebrate him, and a lot of journalists came. When we did the documentary on Coson, which explains to everybody what we do and how we are structured, there are people who complain. They don't have the vision. They don't have the strategic understanding of how you build a brand. What I'm doing at Coson, I've done at Piman. There are so many people who now said, they wanted to Piman, Okoroji was making it, blah, blah. I left Piman. What have they done with Piman since I left? We have experienced it. And members of Coson said, we will not go this way again. Do you have the intellect to run this thing? Please ask me any question on copyright, I'll answer you. It's a very intricate subject. I will answer you. But some of the people want to run this. If you ask them to define copyright, they can't define it. If you ask them the difference between copyright and neighboring rights, they will not tell you. If you ask them the difference between economic rights and the social rights. They can't tell you. And they want to run a major, complex organization like Coson. How do they do it? Our members probe our accounts every year. That's why we have audited accounts. That's why they are sent to the Corporate Commission, to the Corporate Affairs Commission, right? I heard that one of their biggest plans was to bring KPMG to run Coson. I say KPMG, to the best of my knowledge, has never run a collective management organization anywhere in the world. They don't know how to do it. You can't bring them to run a collective management organization. That in fact, if KPMG has a contract to run a collective management organization, like, they'll come and talk to me because I've run a collective management organization. They've never run one, right? If it's in terms of training and ideas on processes, we have on retainership one of the best brains, one of the most experienced brains in collective management of copyright in the world, Richard, Robohuya. Robohuya ran the South African Collective Management Organization, SAMRO, for many years. He went on to be DG of CISAC, the worldwide organization. Robohuya is at Coson every 3 months. He is a chartered accountant. He knows about keeping records for collective management. He talks to the board, he addresses the board, he addresses the staff, the management, and trains them. That's part of our success factor. You say you want to go and bring KPMG. To do what? Do something that they have no knowledge of. And then Coson will be paying KPMG big money. We pay Robohuya practically nothing because the arrangement we have is with IFPI, one of the most important organizations in the world, who sponsored Robohuya to come to Coson every 3 months. We have an arrangement that is solid. This is an organization that is run on the best management principles in the world, which is why it's growing. If we are doing it wrong, let me repeat, if we are doing it wrong, we will not grow. The reason we are growing is because we are doing it right. Can people just give us space? When people like Ejuechi, Tojo Ejuechi left Coson, we are doing something like 20 million naira a year. And they were saying that if they leave, Coson will die. When they left, Coson went up. The next year we did 100 million. We are now doing 200 billion and 700 million. They are wrong. And the results, I believe, are there for everyone to see. In 2018, I wish every Nigerian, members of Coson, members of the creative industry, a happy 2018.